Hi everybody, we're continuing our exploration of linear equations and two variables. And so the next thing we have to learn about is slope. So, what is slope? Well, if we draw, not that, let's draw an actual line. And we're going to have 2 points on this line, x1, comma, y1. And some other point, x2, y2, we want to know how fast is x changing as y is changing. So what we're going to do is we're going to construct a right triangle here. And there's going to be this point directly below x2, y2, and directly to the right of x1, y1, and we get this right angle here. And this point is x2, y1. So what we want to know is how big is this change relative to this change, and that suggests making a ratio or a fraction. So what is this actual change? Well, notice for let me change the color here. Notice that for this one here, what is it changing? Well, the x coordinates are the same. So this distance here is given by y2 minus y1. And normally we put distance in absolute value, but we actually want to know whether we're increasing or decreasing, so we're going to leave the absolute value off in this case. Now, for the x value, or this distance right here, well, what's not changing? Well, this time the y values are not changing, so the only thing that's changing is x, so we just take the difference of the x's here, we get x2 minus x1. And again, we don't use absolute value because we want to know if we're traveling from this way to this way, we want to know how far does it take to go from here to here. But if we were traveling this way, we would switch directions, and we would want to know that we're actually decreasing in x value. So the sign does matter in this case. So what is slope then? Well, slope is just the ratio of this quantity over this quantity. Or in other words, slope, which is given by the variable m, is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now, the subtraction order is very important, and beginners tend to mess this up. Alright, and so slope, the order of the subtraction matters in slope because if you don't, you'll screw up the side, and we'll explore that in the homework. So order of subtraction is important. So don't mess it up. So let's do it. One other thing, though, is there's an alternative notation for slope, and this is sometimes written as delta y over delta x. So this is the Greek letter delta. And delta in math equals the phrase change in. So we sometimes write delta y for y2 minus y1, and delta x for x2 minus x1. And delta always actually means, let's add another word here, the true change in value. Because in future courses you're going to estimate the change in value. And so we always reserve delta as what the actual or true change in either the x or y coordinate is. So just a heads up on notation, you probably will not see delta x, delta y in this course very much, but you will see it in a future course if you take it. So let's calculate a slope. And then I think we will be done with this one. So we'll let, let me see, we need 2 points. So example, let's have the point 2, -3, and the point -4, 1. And we want to find the slope of the line connecting these 2 points. Of the line connecting these 2 points. And so the solution, well, the first thing we got to do is decide which ones are x1s, y1s, and x2, y2. So I'm going to let x1, y1 be 2, -3, and we're going to let x2, y2 equals -4, 1. And it doesn't matter which point you assign to the 1s and to the 2s. You could have easily made this x2, x1, and this one, or this one x2, y2, and this one x1, y1, and the answer will still come out the same. You just do this initially so you can set up the equation correctly. So m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And remember, whenever you're trying to learn the formula, always write it down first, then plug in your numbers. So y2 is 1, and we're going to subtract a -3 all over, well, x2 is -4, and we're going to subtract 2. So simplify this, this becomes 1 plus 3 all over -4 minus 2, and in the numerator we will get 4, and the denominator we get 6, and we can simplify this to a -2/3. And so that is how you calculate slope. So, oh, I need to talk about one more thing. I said we're going to stop, but there's one other thing. The sign of the slope. So, if m is greater than 0, m is a positive slope. And what does that mean? Well, we're going to see in a future section that if m is greater than 0, then our lines are going to look like this. So they are going to rise to the right as x gets larger. And if m is less than 0, then m is a negative slope. And the graph will look like this. So here's the x and y axes. And our slope is, let me draw this in a different color. Now I'm thinking about it. So then our line will go like this. And so let me see, how did I say it up here? Oh, we are going to fall to the right. As x increases in value. So there's some terminology to add to your list. I did say you need to know what a positive and negative slope are, and there you go. So now we'll move on to the next video, which is going to be interpreting slopes as rates of change. And this is one of a very important interpretation that will come up again in future courses in math. So make sure you understand it now, just in case you need it down the road. So we'll see you then.